Hi guys, welcome to a tractor hunt with Redneck Computer Geek. As you can see, there's Belfast and there's where we're going. It's about an hour and 6-minute drive, supposedly, according to Google Maps. If you live in Maine, you know that that's all relative. So, the wife got a hold of me. It turns out it's some sort of Husqvarna AYP. She's been learning what the AYP chassis are, and so she sends me notices anytime she sees something on Facebook, which is really nice of her. And tonight we've got Riley joining me, keeping me company.
Yep.
She's gonna sit here and tell me about being in school and all kinds of rocks and stuff. We've got gas, we've got a jumper. One thing I note to you guys, always bring a bungee cord for the hood. For some reason, certain types of hoods like to just fly up in the back of pickup trucks. Just a little tidbit to add on. So here's a picture of what the wife sent me. And let's go see what it really is. So I don't know if you guys can see me, but I probably won't get the camera out when I end up at this stop. I actually just got done talking with a guy, and when I started asking him questions, his statement was, "Do you have one of those Jeepa thingies?" And I was like, "GPS?" And he was like, "Yeah, just plug the numbers into that and it'll show up at close to house." And I was like, okay, well, I guess we'll figure it out. And I asked him, do we have a mailbox? And he said, yeah, I have a mailbox, but it's not at the house. So I guess we'll figure it out when we get onto the correct road. Alright, let's get stuff pulled down.
Yep, you know. Yeah.
Can you go grab the air hose and pull it out so we can air up that rear tire? Alright, so while John's pulling out the air hose for us so that we can air up this rear tire and get this off here, I wanted you guys to know I am on Instagram. Redneck Computer Geek on Instagram. I'll post a link in the description. Every once in a while, I post a teaser photo or so for you guys.
Got it. Nope.
Yeah.
I saw a good hold. Like you did. But in it.
Alright, so I went to have John pump it up and obviously it blew off the bead. There doesn't seem to be any actual corrosion inside here. So what we're going to do is jack this up and we're going to Dawn dish soap the inside of this, monkey it around and hopefully get it to go and line up the bead and pop back on. One thing you can do with these is you can put a ratchet strap around them and be able to tighten it up and it'll force the inside out. So we're going to do the best we can to sit here, lube up the bead on the inside, and get everything we can all nicely coated. John, you're in the way of the camera. Do everything we can to get it all nicely coated, and then what I'll do is I'll have John hold down the air for me while I pump it to the side and hopefully it'll catch. So here we go. John, go ahead and grab the air. Go for it. And let off, let off, let off. Okay, so now what you gotta do is check your inside, make sure your bead came up level, just run your fingers around it. Because what'll happen is if you don't make sure it's set, all of a sudden it'll pop on later, or it cannot be fully set and decide to fold on the inside. So we got that all nice and done up. We're gonna gas this one up and then we'll get it off of here.
Yep.
So one other interesting note about this mower is it's actually got a brush guard on the front. Normally they fit a lot better into the bed of my truck, but that brush guard gives it a few extra inches that they don't normally have. So the tires on my flatbed are probably about 2 inches from the end of it.
Daddy.
But I still love my flatbed. Check out that video while you're at it if you haven't before. We're going to see if it'll roll down now.
Daddy. Daddy.
What, John?
I can't put it on. I don't know how.
You what?
I don't know how to put it in.
Okay, that's fine. Alright, so this is a hydro. That means there's a pin on the back of it for releasing pressure. You pull the pin and set it in place. Basically that simple. There's even a pictorial on the rear to tell you.
Right.
Yep. Except for it's going to catch on that deck, I bet.
Don't want it to roll and hit ya. Nice.
Okay, I gotta lift it up and over, so you need to stay out of the way.
Nice.
So what we have here is a Husqvarna YTH 150. Now I don't usually do this, but I dare all of you to comment down below, is it a Kohler or is it a Briggs? And the headlights are smashed out. That's really common for these AYP hoods, unfortunately. It is an AYP frame, and it has the usual toed out front end that AYP tends to get. We'll have to fix that. The hydro in the back supposedly works. What's interesting is it's missing an entire blade underneath along with the bolt and everything. The guy claims all he did was bend the blade and then lost the bolt, so we'll see what happens there. We'll have to check the deck spindles and see whether they're seized or not. And the engine does turn over. Seems to have compression. You can hear it in the exhaust. So what is it? Comment right now. Briggs or Kohler? It's a Kohler. You know, sometimes you just don't win. Actually, you know, the Kohlers are great when they run. It's just, I find that parts are unfortunately a lot more expensive than I would really like them to be. And here's the model number for all of you. So what we're going to do right now is basically an engine of this type is pretty simple. You're looking for 3 things basically. Air, fuel, spark. So what we're going to do right now is obviously it turns over so it's able to pump the air in. I'm going to pull the filter, just make sure that it's not totally gunked up. Then we're going to take the spark plug and we're going to turn it over with the spark plug outside to make sure it's got spark. And then from there, we're going to give it some starter fluid right into the top of the carburetor so it has fuel and see if it fires. If it doesn't have one in the series there, then obviously it won't run. That's your checklist. Alright, so there's a couple of things here that I like to go and check when I get a hold of a used piece of equipment. The first of all is the throttle and where it is set for the choke. So if you set your throttle to the notch that's supposed to be choke, you shouldn't see your choke move at all. You shouldn't see it move until after you pass that notch, and there it goes. I don't know why people like to mess with this, but they do when they don't know what they're doing. So I always check this and make sure it's set where it's supposed to be right off the bat. The next thing is if it has an oil filter like this, I like to be able to look and see if somebody marked the hours. This one here, ironically, somebody actually did. It says 497 hours on it. Now, that's cool that they put it on, except for the tractor currently has an hour meter that has over 1,000 hours on it. So I'm a little scared by that. This is another thing. I don't know why people chop up the solenoid valve connections. These solenoid valves are stupid. I usually immediately just grind off the tips and stuff. If you look on Doc Sprocket's YouTube channel, you'll find a how-to on that that's covered in a bunch of my videos, but he's got a really nice in-depth one. So let's pull this off. Let's see what the filter looks like on this 1,000-hour situation. Well, it's actually not that bad. I was actually expecting it to be thoroughly gunked up and covered in everything. But I have seen people replace the felt and not the filter. And actually, that's in good condition. So somebody tried to do a little maintenance. So we're going to set that aside because we're going to need to be able to put starter fluid in here later when we test fuel. So from here, we're going to pull spark and see whether we get any.
No.
Hold up. Alright, so I've got the clutch brake clamped down, and John's going to kick it over for me, and we'll see if there's any spark. Here we go. Oh, there we go.
Spark?
Yeah, try it one more time. Okay, that's good. Alright, so as you can see, we got spark. What you guys can't see in the video is that by having my hand down here, I can feel the air pressure cycling through there and blowing out. So we've got compression, we've got spark now. So we're going to thread this back in nice and gently and give her some starter fluid and see what she does. Alright, so one thing to note here is that we've been turning this over quite a bit. At this point, I should be able to stick my finger down in here and pull it out, and I should have gas on it, or I should be able to smell gas, and I can't. So I'm betting that the carburetor itself is choked up. The fact that somebody's gone out of their way to remove the float bowl and clean it up when the rest of the engine is totally dirty is probably another good indication. So let's give it some starter fluid, and John's going to try and crank it over. Go ahead, John. Alright, so the key thing that you couldn't see on that little clip of video was that all of a sudden it started running right. Well, the problem is that doesn't mean I'm in the clear. What that means is I reached up here and I took the throttle and I put it about a third choke, and then it started running right. And then I pulled it back down to no choke and it went back to not running right. Put it back up to a third choke and it started running right. What that tells me is that most likely somebody pulled the fuel bowl. They cleaned out all the junk that was in it and stuff like that, but they never actually pulled the carburetor off and cleaned the jet out on the inside. So the jet still is gunked up inside. Alright, so full carb cleaning, replaced the fuel filter, replaced the fuel lines basically from behind the filter forward. The main line that goes all the way to the tank is really wedged into the frame, so we'll replace that later when I can get it all lifted up and underneath. But for now, I'd say that's not bad. I think the wife found a good one. Thanks, guys. Have fun.